truth. Happy Monday, Milwaukee. Good afternoon. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. You are officially tapped in on this Monday afternoon, and y'all already know what Monday means around here. It is Mental Health Monday. Before we hop into the segment for today, I want to again send a huge shout out to everyone who attended the Truth Family Fest this weekend. Had an amazing time. Like, anytime we're able to meet our listeners in person and put names with faces is always a pleasure. It was some amazing food. Apparently, you know, my brother Ray Nitty has a new addiction to ice cream and cookies. Ray was walking around. He had 4 cookies, 4 things of ice cream, and a cookie in his pocket. Like, bro, we gotta figure out some different sponsors next year so we can make sure Ray stay on his diet plan. But no, shout out to the whole crew, Ben, jamming with Ben, Shannon, Ray, Cece, Homer, Bailey, Bigo. It was an amazing event, man. We really, really enjoyed ourselves. Shout out to all of the vendors who were there. I even got a free massage. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Got me a good old massage, and it was well needed. So yeah, shout out to everyone who attended the Truth Family Fest. There was a lot of different events happening this past weekend, community events, and I love to see it. It was so much going on, so many resources spread around the entire city. And it was just beautiful, man. It was a day that felt good. The sun was shining. Just overall, an amazing weekend. So again, today is Mental Health Monday. You guys already know that whenever I present something to you, I'm not talking at you. I'm talking with you, because this is advice for myself, and this is something that I've either worked on already or am currently working on. And obviously, a lot of these topics are personal to a certain degree, not specific to a situation, but as a human being, we all have faced different issues when it comes to mental health. For me specifically, the past, really this year has been rough. You know, I lost an uncle in April, lost my daughter's best friend in May, lost someone else who was close to me, and then 2 weeks ago, really a week ago, lost 2 people back to back. So while going back to work because school started, while having a freshman in college, while having an adult young black male as a son in this city, and a 9-year-old, right? 2 jobs. It's all types of things that's happening in my life, in you guys' life, to where I truly believe that we have to talk through some of the things that we're dealing with silently. And the reason why I do want to tap into a lot today is because whether it's work, whether it's relationship or parenthood, we all are struggling with something mental-wise. We just always aren't willing to talk about it openly. And it's okay. So again, if you are in your car, at work, wherever you are, let's have this conversation. Let's be authentic with each other, and let's try and work through it. So I want to do something a little different with the mental health today. I was thinking about how we always talk about peace, especially on social media. Everything is protect your peace, cut them off. Y'all know my favorite word. I'm blocking them, right? Like I'm 8 feet tall in a paint. Block, 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 right? Get rid of everybody with bad energy. Leave the job, leave the relationship, stop talking to the friend, go where you are celebrated. And I have to tell you, some years back, I did this so much and looked up and was like, my life is empty because I didn't kick everybody out, right? And it made me realize that I can't control what other people do, but I can control what I do. And there are absolutely situations where walking away is the healthiest decision by far, right? There are certain environments that are just simply unhealthy. There are abusive relationships. There are friendships that have run its course. There are jobs that ultimately aren't worth losing yourself over. But most importantly, real life is a lot more complicated than a meme, because sometimes you just can't leave. Right? You just have to stick through it. And ultimately, the reason being is because You have to mature in certain situations. B, if you're spiritual, you already know you got to walk through the fire. You have to walk through the fire because there is a lesson in it. And the lesson sometimes isn't necessarily pertaining to the person on the opposite end, but rather you. The lesson is for you alone. You might have somebody at your workplace who gets underneath your skin because of whatever reason, but you have to remind yourself, hey, I have a mortgage, I have children, I got rent, bills, responsibilities, right? You can't walk into work at 9 a.m, get irritated at 9:17 and then quit at 9:23 because Facebook or Instagram told you to protect your peace. And some of y'all would love to, absolutely. And let's be honest, somebody that's listening right now probably has typed their resignation email in their head multiple times, right? Knowing exactly what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, who you're going to tell off, so on and so on. But grown-up life says, adulthood says, what are we actually going to do? And that's the conversation I want today. How to protect your peace when you have to remain where you are, right? Again, that's work, that's motherhood, fatherhood, friendships, relationships, all of the above. How do you protect your peace when the person aggravating you outranks you, if we're talking workplace? How do you protect your peace when the stress isn't coming from an enemy, but is coming from being a parent, right? We know you can't block your children. Now, I go on moments where I will mute my family group chat for a certain amount of time if my children are, in their words, overstimulating me. Absolutely. Listen, don't bother me after this time. Figure it out. The only person that's excluded from that is my baby, Callie Wally, because she's perfect. she absolutely does no harm whatsoever. So she gets the bypass. But the moral of the story is you can't resign from parenthood because somebody is getting on your nerves, right? How do you protect your peace when it's your friend? How do you protect your peace when it's someone you love? How do you protect your peace when there are unanswered questions in a relationship and your mind keeps trying to solve something that nobody has actually explained to you? And the bigger question is peace really peace if everyone around you has to behave perfectly for you to have it? Meaning, it does not matter where you are in the world. It does not matter where you are physically, right? You should be able to have a sense of peace internally that cannot be disrupted by anyone, even if they're attempting to antagonize you. Because let's be clear, there are people who have spirits inside of them, and they don't even understand that they have spirits inside of them. And they have insecurities, and they have thoughts that replays in their minds. They have assumptions, all of these things. And then they create, it's called delusion. They create whatever they create in their head because of how they're feeling. And then they take it out on you, right? Some of y'all deal with this with family members, with lovers, with friends. And at the end of the day, the greatest lesson I was ever taught was no matter where I go, the peace should remain inside of me. I should be able to be peaceful in every situation, in every environment, especially when it comes to things being sent to attempt to destroy my peace, right? So think about that for a minute. If I can only be peaceful when everyone likes me, when everyone understands me, when everyone responds how I want, my children cooperates, my partner communicates perfectly, my friends never disappoint me, and nobody ever at work ever challenges me, then that's not peace. That's environment control, right? And none of us controls life like that. And that's a harsh reality. You cannot control the behavior of others, right? That goes back to the let them theory that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. If you guys haven't checked out that show, go to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube, tap in and check out the let them theory, where you're allowing people to just be themselves. Obviously, you're not allowing them to mistreat you, but you are initially allowing them to be themselves. So today we are talking about what I call protecting your peace without abandoning your position. That position is at work. That position is as a parent, relationships, friendships, and most importantly, the position within yourself. Because sometimes the battle isn't removing the difficult situation. Sometimes the battle is making sure the difficult situation doesn't remove you from you. Let me say that again. Sometimes the battle isn't removing the situation, right? Sometimes the battle is making sure that the difficult situation does not remove you from you, meaning that whatever is sent to destroy your peace, it is not allowing you to act out of character, right? And this is actually connected to the mental health news right now. There was a new research highlighted a few days ago examining occupational health. And one of the conclusions really caught my attention. The message basically said when people's mental health is suffering because of work, we cannot always put the entire responsibility on the employee to fix themselves. In other words, maybe breathing exercises aren't the whole answer if the environment itself is unhealthy. Maybe telling someone to practice self-care doesn't solve a toxic management issue. Maybe sending someone to counseling doesn't automatically fix an organizational culture that keeps creating stress. And that is important because we have turned mental health into this thing where every solution is directed to that individual, right? You're stressed, meditate. You're burnt out, take a vacation. You're overwhelmed, journal. You're irritated, breathe. Life is not that simple, right? All great practices, obviously. And we're going to talk about those things today. But sometimes the correct question is simply, what is happening around this person that keeps requiring them to recover? What is happening around this person that is requiring them to recover? That's different because I don't want anybody listening today thinking that protect your peace means accepting mistreatment. It does not. I can regulate myself and address inappropriate behavior at the same time. I can pray and document. You understand? I can meditate and establish a boundary. I can protect my
beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! When I move, you move.
Just like that. And just like that, we are back. You are officially tapped in on 101.7 The Truth, the award-winning 101.7 The Truth with your girl, Jazz Tyler. And today is Mental Health Mondays, right? We are talking work. We are talking parenthood, friendships, relationships, all of the above. Before we went to break, I was stating that we have to understand what is happening around us, right? Understand it, address our feelings, understand what's going on and how to maneuver through it instead of creating a false scenario in our head just to have a reason to walk away, right? And I think for black women specifically, this conversation gets a little bit deeper because sometimes, and I know for me, this is not the case for everybody, but I have had this experience. Sometimes we are told we are strong so often that strength becomes an expectation instead of a compliment. You got it, Jazz. You'll figure it out. You strong. You always bounce back. You always make a way. And sometimes the strong woman is sitting there thinking, okay, but who said I wanted to have to be strong every 5 minutes, right? And this hits home for me because this is something that I'm told often. Jazz, you're so strong. You're so this, you're so that. So much to the point where subconsciously you begin to adapt this, right? Now, naturally, it's a part of your DNA. It's a part of your nature. Life bring experiences that forces you to have to be strong. It's not by choice, right? It's because you don't have a choice. But ultimately, I think the worst thing you can do, especially with black women who are single mothers and doing this alone, is to tell them that they got it and stay strong, right? That's not a compliment because you're telling me to stay in a mental space of not addressing what I'm really feeling because I need to be strong. We all have to have moments where we are vulnerable, right? And let's be clear, it's not easy being vulnerable these days because people like to use it against you or people like to take advantage of it, right? So that adds another barrier, another layer when it comes to the mental health piece, because now you're like, I don't want to talk to nobody about what I'm going through because I'm afraid that they're going to throw it in my face if ever there's an argument, or because they may use this to their advantage to benefit them and take advantage of my vulnerability. Sometimes I just don't want another lesson. Sometimes I don't want another character building experience. I've been through so many, right? Sometimes I don't want another obstacle that supposedly prepares me for something. Sometimes I just want Monday to be peaceful or Tuesday to be peaceful, right? Can this day just mind its business? Can everybody at work just do their job? Can the kids find their own charger? Can my friend answer a straightforward question with the straightforward answer? Can everybody just act normal for one day, right? Initially, these are the thoughts when you wake up. Today's going to be a good day. That's why I talk about the affirmations so much. When I wake up, I spew out affirmations. I have my students spew out affirmations consistently because there are so many things that sent your way that is unexpected and maybe sent your way to destroy your peace. But because we cannot control that, we have to develop mechanisms that helps us keep our center when everybody else decides that they have lost theirs. And that's what we're going to. We're going to talk about the science. We're going to talk about practical techniques. We're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to talk about workplace stress, parenthood stress, friendship stress, relationship stress. And I'm bringing some spirituality into this as well, because sometimes there's a mental health, there's the mental health work that I can do. And then there's the spiritual work for surrendering what I cannot do. And those are two different things. And I need both. I can't speak for everybody. I'm not talking about a specific religion or whatever the case may be. But 9 times out of 10, you cannot have one without the other. So wherever you are listening to today in the car or at work, or if you're getting the kids together at home, I just want you to think about one question. What has been taking up too much space in your mind lately? I just had this conversation with my sister over the weekend about being intentional when it comes to the thought process, right? Making sure, especially for creators and people who may have ADHD or people who have multiple things going on at one time, right? It seems almost impossible. It seems almost impossible to have a clear mind because there's always something that needs to be done. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, there's always something that needs to be done, always someone that you have to talk to. There's responsibilities. There's so much. So it is difficult to have just a time of the day where you can just sit back and think without any distractions whatsoever, right? Again, when we're talking about mental health, when we're talking about all of relationships, workplace, parenthood, all of the above, the most important thing, first and foremost, is to obviously put you first. And the reason why I say that is because your children, they can't operate correctly, right? Or in a positive manner if you are not in a good headspace. That job, if you stress yourself so much to the point where you passed away, God forbid, they're going to replace you. That's the reality, right? You always have to put yourself first. If that relationship is taxing on you and is bringing so much chaos and confusion mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically, right? You have to put you first. And putting you first doesn't necessarily mean that you have the right to dismiss reality. I am a person who, my life is peaceful at this age because I've been through so much in my life. And you guys have heard me talk about it multiple times. I was sexually assaulted as a child. I've had breast cancer. I've been divorced and going through breast cancer recovery at the same time. I have to deal with, in different positions I've had, I have to deal with the ego battle with men and sometimes older Black women. When you're dealing with your children, when they become a certain age, they try to test you to the best of their ability for whatever reason, right? Sometimes you have friends who purposely do things because they feel away or they're insecure. And these are people you may have known for years and maybe not. But at the end of the day, you have to put yourself first. And what does that look like? That looks like sitting down with yourself and having a conversation and being realistic about things, holding yourself accountable first. You have to, like, I am so big on self-accountability because it's something that teaches me, right? If I can sit there in the moment and say, all right, Jazz, take a look at everything from an objective point of view. Put yourself in this person's shoes, that person's shoes, and then stay in your shoes and try and figure out where you went wrong first before you take a look at where everybody else went wrong. And one or two things happen. The first one is, if I find out that I am in the wrong, then I have to suck that up. That's called being an adult. That's called being mature, right? Not creating false scenarios in my head to try and lie my way through something or justify my behavior. I have to check myself first. But number two, if I find out after checking myself that I was not in the wrong, I'm standing on that. Wrong is wrong and right is right. Ultimately, though, the most important thing that I explained is self-accountability. Sometimes we have this thing of, protecting our peace means that we want to get rid of any and everything or any and everyone who was sent to destroy it. But you can't have the yin without the yang. You can't have one without the other. There has to be a balance. There's always good versus evil. And everything you've read, everything you watch, just the way the world is in general, that's life. So if there was nothing sent to destroy you or anything sent to test you, how will you know what you're made of? You have to equip yourself to hold yourself accountable, but also to walk through the fire so that you can come out untouched. It's all a learning lesson. And sometimes, like, I'm really understanding, especially the closer I get to God, the more I understand that it's all a test for me. Sometimes it is a test for other people because some people don't know the anointing that you have over your life and that you are not to be touched. It says, do not touch my prophets and do them no harm. And some people are so egotistic that they think their titles and their relationship with you, they're entitled. I've known her for this many years, or I'm her supervisor, or my mama, she gonna do whatever I ask. The entitlement and the ego often makes them forget that there is another realm that you can see. And some people are highly favored. So, you have to be careful when you come for certain people, right? But also, you don't know what someone is going through. We all are trying to maneuver through life, right? With no guide, no blueprint. We all are trying to maneuver through this thing called life. And the only thing we can do is check ourselves first, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want to put yourself in a situation that's going to force you to react a certain way. And then there's consequences behind it. We got to go to break. Coming back, I want to stay on the work part, right? Because new occupational health research is basically saying something workers have been screaming forever. Sometimes you aren't failing to cope. Sometimes the environment needs to change. We are going to unpack the difference between learning emotional regulation and being expected to emotionally regulate yourself through someone else's dysfunction. And I have a question for my sisters, especially. How many extra jobs are you performing at that aren't listed anywhere in your job description? We're getting into the emotional labor next. It's Mental Health Monday. Do not touch that dial. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler.
At UW Credit Union, our home loans have every...
.117 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. You are officially tapped back into Mental Health Mondays. And before the break, I mentioned this new research coming out around occupational health. The reason it stood out to me is because it challenges something that I think happens constantly, right? Somebody is struggling at work. they are stressed, they are burnt out. Maybe they are anxious every Sunday night before Monday comes. And maybe they are starting to dread opening their emails. Maybe they find themselves becoming physically tense every time a certain person's name appears on their phone. And what do we immediately say? You need better coping mechanisms. Maybe. But what if they are coping with something that shouldn't be happening in the first place? We're talking mental health. We're talking work. We're talking parenthood, relationships, friendships, all of the above. Right now, we're going to focus on work, and then we're going to tap into how to navigate through the mental health when it comes to parenthood, relationships, and friendships as well. This research highlighted this month essentially argues that workplaces need to look at the organizational factors affecting employee well-being instead of treating everyone mental health problem solely as something happening only inside of that individual employee. So think about how those two differ, right? Question one is, why can't Jasmine handle stress better? Question two is, why does this workplace keep creating conditions that require Jasmine to recover from it? Now we're having a different conversation because mental health cannot become a tool people use to normalize unhealthy environments. I don't want somebody telling me to breathe through something they have the ability to stop doing. You keep stepping on my foot, and every time I say you're standing on my foot, you say, have you tried meditation? No, move your damn foot. Then I meditate. How about that? Both things can happen at the same time. And I think the difference between the two is when we talk about protecting our peace, sometimes people here just ignore everything. No, some situations need to be ignored and some situations need to be documented. Some need conversation, some need management, some need HR. Some may require somebody eventually leaving the environment. Wisdom is learning the difference. Let me tell you something. By day, I teach on average 80 to 90 students. From 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the evening, I run across 80 to 90 students. And 90% this year are freshmen. And we all know how freshmen are, very immature, right? Very, very, very immature. And some staff members don't have experience working with youth of that age more so than working with, for say, let's say a junior or a senior. So they automatically think whatever is going to happen for the freshman, the junior or senior is going to happen for the freshman, or you should approach it that way. No, you cannot. It's two completely different age group, two completely different things. What I mean by that is when people start imposing what works for them because it works for them on you, and then get upset when it doesn't work for you, that becomes a problem. What works for you don't necessarily work for me. You cannot look at everything with the one book mechanism. Like it's, hey, all rules apply to everybody. No, that's not the case. That is not the case. People deal with things differently. People have different experiences. People have different beliefs. And when you combine all of those things together, they start to show. And this becomes especially complicated when the person creating the problem has more institutional power than you. Maybe it's a supervisor. Maybe it's somebody with seniority. Maybe it's somebody with the title. Maybe everybody loves them. Maybe they've been there 20 years and you've been there 2 months. That changes the emotional calculation because now you are not only dealing with behavior, you are thinking, can they affect my position? Will people even believe me? Will speaking up make it worse? Am I going to be labeled as difficult? Am I making this up? Should I say something? Should I not say nothing? And that mental calculation itself becomes labor, right? Especially if you are someone who has been in certain industries for quite some time, male-dominated industries to be exact, as a woman. When you are in male-dominated industries, you tend to become a little bit more structured. And I don't like the word aggressive, especially when it comes to Black women. But for the lack of a better word, some people may take it as aggression, when really it's not. It's just you about your business and your zero tolerance. And you have to be that way because when you're working around majority men right? There's little games that they play, their egos, the pride, all of this stuff. So you have to maneuver a certain way. Then sometimes you end up in positions where you're working around women and it becomes very catty, right? And you have to deal with things a certain way. But at the end of the day, you should never, ever question whether or not what you're feeling is real, because it's a feeling. What you can do is identify what you're feeling in that moment, take a step back, analyze it, analyze the situation to its entirety, and then figure out how to approach it going forward. So let's talk. I want to talk to my sisters. I want to talk to the Black women, right? Because many of us know this feeling. You are trying to determine how direct you can be with somebody without them calling you aggressive. Somebody else can slam their notebook down and they are just passionate. You close yours a little slightly too hard and all of a sudden you're hostile, right? Hey, I was just organizing my paperwork, and then sometimes you start editing stuff, or let me soften the email, let me add an exclamation point so they know I'm friendly. You ever put that, like an exclamation point at the end of a sentence, and you didn't think anything of it, and they just take it the wrong way? Hey, why? I remember one day I was texting T.I. in Philly. We had a group chat, and I put exclamation after a couple of sentences, and Philly texted me like, "Why you yelling?" And Tip like, "Yeah, why you yelling?" I'm like, "I'm not yelling." I put the exclamation point to say like, "Hey, yeah, like I'm excited," or, you know, like, yeah, it's excitement, not yelling. But I was unaware that there were, I guess, courtesy, right? When it comes to text, I had no idea. And again, it could be something as simple as that. I'm guilty of that, right? Somebody can say something and I'll take it completely out of context. And it's like, no, I didn't mean it that way. They're not responsible for how I think. I'm responsible for how I think. So I can't be upset with them. I have to check within myself first. So you put that explanation point after that, right? And there's another part of workplace. That becomes an issue. Then there's another part of workplace mental health we don't always discuss. That's the constant monitoring. You start reading every room, who spoke, who didn't, who looked at you, who didn't look at you. Why did they call a meeting? Why did they say it like that? Why wasn't I included? Why was I copied? Why wasn't I copied? Why didn't she walk past me without speaking? Why did he mumble something? It's just so many different things, right? And the reality is people are in their own worlds. May not even be thinking about you. May not you like sometimes people are not focused on you, or you are not living rent free in their head. They're just in their own world. And we get offended by that, right? Again, this is something that I'm guilty of. If I walk past somebody that normally speaks to me and they don't speak to me, I'm going to naturally be offended. And then I start feeling away, only for them to be like, "Man, I didn't even see you right there. I'm sorry. I had so much going on in my mind. I'm trying to find this. I'm trying to figure this out. This person calling me at the same time." And then you step back and be like, "Dang, I feel bad because I thought that this person was, acting funny towards me, but really he going through something in his mind. He has a lot going on that it wasn't intentional." So now your brain has become corporate security. You are monitoring everything, and the danger in that follows you home. You don't stop watching for the next problem, even when there is no problem happening. That can exhaust you. So here's practice number 1 today. I call it the behavior over motive. When something happens, deal with what you can actually identify instead of spending hours determining motive. For example, "Oh, she's jealous of me." Ask yourself what happened. "Well, she interrupted me 3 times during this meeting." Okay, that's behavior. Instead of saying, "Oh, she's trying to sabotage me." What happened? Information I needed was not forwarded to me on 3 occasions. That's behavior. Instead of "they don't want me here," what happened? "I was excluded from these specific communications." Now we have facts. And I'm telling you, that shift can protect your mental health, because proven motive is exhausting. You don't live in their mind. You don't actually know. every reason someone behaves a certain way. And sometimes you are right. Let's be clear. Sometimes you are right. Sometimes maybe they are jealous. Maybe they are intimidated. Maybe they are being malicious, but you still don't have to spend hours psychoanalyzing them. You need to know what happened. Does it require action? And what's the appropriate action? And then move on. That's all you have to do. You don't have to spend. You ever caught yourself and remember something like, I should have said this? No, you're doing too much. You are doing too much. When we come back, we are going to finish this conversation.
Position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
One on 1.7 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct, and it is Mental Health Mondays. We are having this conversation because, again, we all know that there are multiple things going on in everyday life, right? There's a time where you can turn up. There's a time where we have a good time. There's a time where we have information, but we have to make sure that we start our week off and our day off with checking our mental health first. And before we went to break, we were talking about how to protect your mental health in the workplace. Now we're going to move a little bit into parenthood, right? Because that's extremely important. But before we do, I want to introduce the spirituality in this. Again, this is not religion, it's spirituality. If it don't apply, let it fly. Discernment does not mean paranoia. If I discern that something doesn't feel right without allowing that feeling to become a full-time investigation, then I'm okay. I can say, God, show me what I need to see and help me not invent what isn't there. That's a mature prayer. Because sometimes when we are already hurt or activated, we start connecting dots that may not actually connect. And other times that pattern becomes crystal clear. So if you are a person who is deeply rooted in spirituality and you understand what I'm talking about, sometimes you can confuse your discernment for emotions. Those are two completely different things. Now, when I discern, my discernment is typically never off. But what I've learned is that sometimes that's the problem. Sometimes that's the problem. And sometimes it's not meant for you to speak about what you know inside, because the facts that the Creator gives you is not anything that someone else can understand unless they are on the same level. So, school is back in session. We have new schedules, new teachers, new classmates, new routines, transportation, homework, activities, so on and so on. Everybody waking up early, got to rush out the door. And mental health professionals have been talking this month about anxiety around going back to school, right? One pediatric psychologist recently made a point that I liked when I was looking this up this past weekend. The goal for parents isn't necessarily to eliminate every bit of anxiety. It's teaching children you can feel anxious and still cope with what's in front of you. So parents, that's not only a lesson for the children, this is a lesson for us as well, because think about how much of parenting becomes trying to eliminate every uncomfortable emotion for our children's lives. We don't want them scared. We don't want them disappointed. We don't want them nervous. We don't want them hurt. We don't want them embarrassed, right? And obviously we want to protect our babies, but emotional resilience doesn't mean I never experienced discomfort. It means I learned that discomfort does not mean I'm incapable. That's a major lesson. Your child can say, I'm nervous about school. And instead of don't be nervous, there's something to be nervous about. Maybe it's, I understand that you are nervous because new things can feel uncomfortable. What part feels the hardest? And these are simple things, right? These are things that we're like, yeah, you know, that's not important. But I'm telling you it is. I'm telling you from not only a parent stance, but as an educator. There are so many different students that I have personally who have no social skills whatsoever. They have not been equipped with social skills. And we all know how awkward it can be transferring to a new school or coming from middle school to high school. Especially in today's society, you have to enter a space that is new to you. You have to enter a space where you're in a higher grade, so there's more expectations, right? There's all type. Can I make new friends? Can I not? There's so many different things that our babies go through mentally when it comes to preparing for school. And we don't pay attention to it because we just know we got to go to work and they have to go to school. And then when the principal and the teachers get to calling you because they misbehave or something is happening, you can't put two and two together where they've already tried to talk to you and tell you that something was wrong when school first started. Not necessarily somebody did something to them, but they were nervous or they felt uneasy or they feel uncomfortable in this environment, and then we ignore it. For me personally, my children going back to school was always nerve-wracking because safety, right? There's a lot that's happening, school shootings, fighting, all of the above, right? But most importantly, it's the social skills piece. It's how they interact with other students, how they interact with the teachers, how well do they get along with their classmates. That plays a major part. That plays a major part. And why is that important? Because if they don't got it together, you're going to have to leave work early to go pick them up. You can act like it's not a big deal, but it is. You're going to get those phone calls, those emails, those text messages. If you're on Class Dojo, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right? So our baby's mental health matters while they're in school as well because it affects us also. Nobody has time to be on the phone with teachers 24/7. You have to start addressing these things ahead of time. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know if y'all been paying attention or researching it, but suicide rates for high school students is at an all-time high. I can't make this up. At some point, we have to make sure that our students, our children are prepared mentally before school to them is like work to us. Think about how you feel when you walk in a workplace. You don't want to feel anxious or uneasy. So why shouldn't them going into school not feeling that matter? That should matter. It does matters. And we don't have enough conversations about it. And then we wonder why our children act the way that they do because no one sees them. No one is seeing what's going on inside of them. We're so busy caught up in what we have going on. And you have a lot of parents that's like, you can't tell me how to raise my kids. You can't tell me nothing about who know my kids better than me. Some of y'all don't know y'all babies at all. Some of y'all don't know who y'all children is whatsoever, let alone what they're feeling. You ever seen those posts like somebody, took their own life? Oh, man, I didn't understand. I don't understand. I bet you don't, because you didn't take the time to look beneath the smiles and everything else. All you're doing is paying attention to, I got to go to work. I got to pay the bills. Everything isn't about money. Everything isn't about you. So when you pour into your mental health, make sure that you are also pouring into your children's, right? Now, on another note, we know everybody's schedule. We know everybody's sizes, doctor's appointments, who need what for school, what permission slip needs to be signed, all of the above. And the most, right? I don't know about y'all in your house, but I'm so sick of these kids going through these chargers. Every 5 minutes, Ma, can I see your charger? Ma, can I use your charger? Ma, let me get your charger. Ma, my battery on 2%. Ma, I'm in the middle of a game. Da, da, da. Leave me alone. Mental health is real in the household when you have children because you don't have time for yourself. But that's motherhood. You are carrying all of this invisible data in your head, and then you are going to work. And then you come home from navigating adults at your job and walk into a house full of people who need something from you. And sometimes you don't have one answer, two answers. You don't have an answer at all. That doesn't mean you don't love your children. For the woman who feels guilty, being tired of being needed does not mean you are tired of your children. Those are two completely different things. You can deeply love motherhood and still need 20 minutes where nobody says your name. You know that you are depleted when you start hearing mama, right? And it's a different type. They say it in different type of ways. Mama. Now that's the emergency mama. Right? When you hear that, mama, that means something is wrong. Or at least you assume something is wrong, and 9 times out of 10 is not. Then you be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Oh, can I have some juice? What? You done did all. Listen, at the end of the day, us women, we do feel guilty. And sometimes the men do too when it comes to raising children, because we need time to ourselves. Y'all better do like me. I go in the bathroom quick to get away from my kids. I don't even be having to use the bathroom. I just go in the bathroom. That's the only place. When they get to calling my name too much, I'm going right to the bathroom. I promise you. Ain't got to do a number 1 or 2, but I'm going to act like I do so they can leave me alone. Listen, Linda, listen. Leave me alone, right? Leave me alone. When possible, I know every household is different. Before you fully move from employee mode to mom mode, give yourself transition. Maybe 10 minutes in the car, maybe one song, maybe changing clothes immediately, maybe a quick shower, maybe sit silently, maybe go to the bathroom like me. But allow yourself to have a transition. Y'all, please hear me when I say this. This is something that we don't really talk about. Because you are going from one job to the next. Being a mother or a father or a guardian is a job. And we hop in these modes so frequently. And then next thing you know, whatever piss you off at work, you're taking it out on the children. Or if your children did something to you by the time you dropped them off at school, you taking it out on your...
Yeah.
1017 The Truth, is your girl Jazz Tyler. A huge thank you to everyone who came out and supported Truth Family Fest 2026. Special thanks to Educators Credit Union, American Family Insurance, Milwaukee Public Schools, Artists Working in Education, City of Milwaukee, DCWS, AB Core, Ascension, and Tap In MKE for helping making this event possible, and to our vendors, volunteers, listeners, and families for showing up and supporting our community. From all of us at 1017 The Truth, thank you, Milwaukee. If you are just now joining us, we are talking about mental health. It's Mental Health Mondays. There's a lot that's happening. Obviously, we always have a good time, have real conversations. But again, if you are just now tuning in, there's been a lot that's been going on. And we just need to do a mental health check today, right? We are losing people constantly. There's things happening at work. School is starting back. There's so many different things going on, and everybody is just having a good time, kind of dealing with their own emotions without talking about it, and that's never healthy. So we're talking about work. We're talking about parenthood. We're talking about relationships and friendships and some coping mechanisms or things we can do to kind of work through it. And prior to going to break, I was explaining to parents out there, right? We wear so many different hats, from work to parenthood to all of the above. But have you ever thought about a transition when you move from one thing to the next? So when you get off work, we just hop fully in mother mode or father mode without allowing ourselves a brief moment to say, let me deal with whatever I was dealing with at work in this moment, in this 5 or 10 minutes to myself, so that I can ensure that I don't take that out on my household, and vice versa. When it comes time for you having to drop your child or children off at school in the morning and something happens, maybe they spilled breakfast all over their uniform and you can't turn around and take them back home. Now you're upset and you go to work, but you haven't gotten out of mommy mode or daddy mode. Now you're taking whatever you're going through out on your coworkers. There has to be some type of transition in between. I want to double back and go back to the work scenario, right? Somebody can hold authority over your position without having to hold authority over your identity. I'm going to say that again. Somebody can have authority over your position without having authority over your identity. Maybe they supervise you. Maybe they evaluate you. Maybe they are senior leadership. Maybe they can assign work. Maybe they can make your professional life more difficult. Those things matter. We should not pretend that power dynamics are not real, but their title does not determine your worth. Their opinion about you does not confirm your identity. Their attitude towards you does not get to rewrite everything that you already know about yourself. And that's important, because when somebody with authority appears to dislike us, Sometimes we begin shrinking ourselves before they even ask us to. You start questioning everything. Maybe I shouldn't speak during the meeting. Maybe I shouldn't wear this. Maybe I'm too loud or outspoken. Maybe I'm too confident. Maybe I need to change how I talk, and maybe I should just stop overall sharing ideas. Hold on a minute. We have to separate professional feedback from internalized rejection. This came about because I have a lot of friends who are in call center. They work in a call center, and I've worked in a call center before. And when you are in those type of environments, people genuinely take their titles like to the head, to the chest, all of the above, right? Like in corporate America, the titles is unbelievable and in all reality. But I understand that. I know that about that workplace. I know that there is levels and structures, and some people are just used to doing things a certain way. You just got to kind of suck it up, right? So here's some accountability. And again, these are things that has worked for me in the past, and these are things that may work for you. If I receive valid feedback about my performance, I should consider it. I need to. That is called maturity. But if I begin dismantling my personality because I desperately need someone to like me, now we've crossed into something completely different. Everybody ain't gonna like you. And that's one of the hardest forms of adulthood, realizing that being a good person does not guarantee universal approval. You can be kind and somebody doesn't like you. You can be professional and somebody still don't like you. You can mind your business and somehow somebody will still find your business fascinating, right? You'll be like, I wasn't even talking. And they are still irritated. Now what? That's the real question, because you cannot force somebody into liking you. When you try, you hand them an enormous amount of power. Now your peace depends on whether they smiled today, whether they've spoken to you, whether they've complimented you, whether their email sounded warm. Like you are literally just emotionally checking their temperature all day. And that is extremely exhausting. So I want to give you something. Stop auditioning for people who have already decided how they want to view you. You understand what I'm saying? They've already made up in their mind how they feel about you, what their prejudgments are of you, and there's nothing you can do. Your story don't matter. Your heart, how pure your heart is, doesn't matter. There's nothing that matters because they're going to think and feel however they choose, and you have to allow them to. You can remain open to legitimate feedback and you can remain respectful. You can remain collaborative, but stop auditioning. You don't need to perform your innocence every single day. You don't need to code switch 24/7. You don't need to constantly explain yourself unless clarification is actually needed. And this is where we have to learn the difference between being accountable and being controlled by perception. Accountability says, if I'm wrong, I'll correct it. Perception says, I need everybody to see me the way I see myself. That is impossible. It is impossible for you to view yourself, the way that the world views you, right? So let's say somebody at work does something that feels intentionally disrespectful. The first thing you must do is pause, not because you are weak, but because you need a strategy. Emotion wants immediate relief. Strategy wants the best outcome. Those are not always the same thing. I don't care what line of work you are in. If you drive school buses, if you drive a truck, if you're a teacher, if you are a consultant, whatever it is, it applies, especially if you are in corporate America. I worked for a waste management. I worked for the president of the corporate office of coals. I've worked for the city of Milwaukee, an elected official. I've worked for a corporate for many different years, for many of years. And I've had experiences in every role that I had. And I had to take those experiences and learn, right? Which is why I am in the positions I'm in now. Because I had to learn from my mistakes. You've now taken a workplace problem and created evidence for your own emotional involvement because you keep trying to audition. What you should be doing is protecting your future you, right? What does the future me need to do right now? I've dealt with racism in the workplace. I've dealt with harassment in the workplace. I've dealt with egotistic men in the workplace. I've dealt with women who are intimidated by me in the workplace. I've dealt with so much in the workplace. And you would be a fool to sit there and say, that don't happen or that doesn't matter, whatever the case may be, because we're at work during the week spending time with these people more than we are with our own children. Just like our babies are at school spending time with them more than they are spending time with us. Think about it. By the time you get up and go work an 8-hour shift and you get off of work, you got to pick your babies up, go home and cook, help them with their homework. And next thing you know, they getting ready for bed. You don't even have time to have a conversation with them. So to assume that the people you're around at work, that it doesn't matter, is not a huge thing. It is, because you are investing your life, your emotions, your mental, everything into this environment for 8 hours a day. So you have to make sure that you are protecting the future you. The future me may need documentation. The future me may need a witness. The future me may need a calm email. The future me may need to go home and sleep before answering or responding to an email. The future me may eventually need to update my resume. But what future me rarely needs is a beautifully written 3-paragraph angry text at 11:38 p.m., right? Saved in your notes, saved on your app, saved in your laptop. And spiritually, this is where restraint becomes powerful, right? We often think power is saying the thing. Sometimes power is being fully capable of saying it and deciding it would serve no purpose. We have Brother Love on the line. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hey, how you doing? Happy Monday, Dad.
Happy Monday. Thank you so much for tapping in. I was waiting on you to call, Brother Love. What's the word?
Yes. I just want to say you're doing a good job, and this on this mental Monday, I just hope everybody just feel warm and welcome, and just stop the violence.
Yeah. Yes.
And you know, and I just want everybody to feel rejuvenated and exhilarated, and you know, just and let's just start back to being one again.
Yes, absolutely. I second that. How you feeling? How's your mental health today, Brother Love?
Excellent, Jazz.
Yes.
I think I got my mojo back.
Come on now. That's what we like to hear. Do you have a positive affirmation for today? Typically I'll say what is yours?
My affirmation is, I'm reading the book Command Your Morning, and I'm just commanding my morning, and I'm just going to be positive, motivational, inspirational, and I'm just going to love everybody, because it's enough evil, it's enough violence in the world, and I just want to bring some good to this world before God call me home.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I'm going to look that book up. Thank you so much for that, Brother Love. When we come back, we are going to finish this conversation. We are talking about mental health in the workplace, parenthood, relationships, friendships, all of it.
It's in the Ad Council.
Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the rail's in your mouth. Woo! Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out.
1017 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct at the award-winning 1017 The Truth at the beautiful American Family Insurance Studio in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. I got my good Brother Z. Meechy Meech is in the building. We are having a conversation today on Mental Health Mondays. This came about because of conversations I've been having all week, last week with loved ones, but also just with myself, right? We always have a great time on Tapped In when it comes to real conversations, commentary, kicking back, talking mess, right? But we got to do a mental health check every now and again, because people are losing people. You have work, school is starting back. So there's a lot of different things that we are dealing with that we don't necessarily talk about. And I wanted to bring some of these situations up. We've been talking about work, mental health in the workplace. We've been talking about mental health when it comes to parent hood, and we're also going to talk about it when it comes to friendships and relationships as well. Before we get back into this, there's a scripture principle about being slow to speak and slow to anger. And when I'm talking with you all, I'm talking with myself as well when I say this. Whether you are deeply religious or simply spiritually grounded, there's wisdom in that. Slow doesn't mean silent forever. Slow means my emotions don't dictate my timing. And that's powerful because somebody else's chaos should not control when and how you speak. So if you are dealing with a difficult workplace dynamic right now, here's your assignment. Stop asking only, why are they doing this? And ask what response best protects my peace, my reputation, my work, and my future. So I also want to talk to you all about how you leave a situation physically, but you are still there. And this is across the board, right? We're only utilizing the workspace analogy for right now, but you can't tell me that there hasn't been a situation where something was constantly on your mind bothering you, right? You get home, you take your shoes off, you warm your food up, you indulge in whatever activities. Me personally, I got to pour me a glass of Prosecco, all right? Everything is technically fine, and suddenly your brain said, you know what you should revisit? Nope, not at all, right? Remember when he said, it brings you to that moment of like when you get into an argument with your spouse and you like, dang, I should have said that in an argument, right? You start coming up with all different types of versions of what you should have said, but you didn't think of it in that moment. When does your brain turn into a podcast producer at night? On episode 47, things Jazz should have said at 10:15 this morning. And then you replay it in different versions, different endings. Now in version 3, you had the perfect comeback, but in version 7, everybody in the meeting was applauded. Stop it. This mental replay has a name in psychology when it becomes repetitive negative thinking. And it feels productive because you're thinking. But thinking and solving are not always the same thing. Sometimes you are not solving anything. You are just reopening the emotional wound over and over, right? So here's the practice, the clock out ritual. I hate the word ritual, by the way. So we're not going to say ritual. We're just going to say the clock out practice. Before you leave work or shortly after your workday ends, do 4 things. 1, externalize what is unfinished. Write it down. If there's a task tomorrow, write it down. If you need to follow up, write it down. If there's something you need to document it. Your brain sometimes keeps recycling information because it's afraid that you'll forget. Putting it somewhere else is reliable. So instead of saying, hey, I got to do this, and I'm not talking about keeping up with your calendar because we already know that, but it's the small things. I need to have a conversation with so-and-so, or this is an idea I have, whatever the case may be, good or bad. Write it down and put it up. Ask whether action is possible tonight. Ask yourself that. Is there anything I can do about it right now? If not, then it got to go. If there is a situation that I can't get to by the time I get home that's pertaining to work and I can't do it in that moment, it has to go. It has to leave my mind. It cannot occupy the space in my brain, because what that is going to do is force me into feeling a certain way when I get to work the next day, whether that's good or bad, or not being able to focus on what I need to focus on, or being present and not being present. Right? You got your babies at home, your man or your woman, and your mind is just all over the place and you're still not there. You're there physically, but mentally you are still not there because you are so worried about whatever it is else it is that you have going on inside of the workplace, right? Think about this. When actors are done acting, they leave the stage. When athletes are done performing, they leave the basketball court or the stadium. When doctors are done with the surgery, they leave the hospital. And when teachers are done teaching, we leave the classroom. So your body, you have to train your body and nervous system to realize I am not in that environment right now. I am not in that environment right now. And then say a release phrase. I have done what today required. Tomorrow will receive tomorrow's energy. You understand? I have done all I can do for today. I'm going to deal with tomorrow when tomorrow comes. It's not going to taint my energy. It's not going to take my sleep. It's not going to taint my dinner with my family. I'm going to deal with it when I deal with it. But right now, I have done everything that I can do, and that's going to have to be good enough. And if you are a spiritual person, God, I am releasing what I cannot fix tonight. There's something powerful about saying it out loud, because sometimes spiritually we say we trust God while mentally we continue to hold on to the baggage. It's a lot of Erykah Badu's out here, a lot of bag ladies and bag men constantly walking around, not physically with bags, but it's just so much baggage because you won't let stuff go. Say, God, I put it in your hands. Then 30 seconds later, you actually give it back. Done overthinking. Done beating myself up about woulda, coulda, shouldas. Done replaying things. Done creating. Done working. Just leave work at work. Surrender is difficult because overthinking gives the illusion of control. Surrender is difficult because overthinking gives the illusion of control. If I keep analyzing it, maybe I'll discover something. Maybe I can predict what they'll do, and maybe I can prevent another problem. Those are control issues. That's something that I'm actually dealing with right now. Like being able to, being afraid of the unknown. Not controlling people, but having control over my thoughts to where something got to make sense. Because if the math ain't math, then I'm not sure how I'm going to take it. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So it better make sense to me. That's my thought process. But that's the thought process of someone who has been in survival mode all of their lives since they dealt with things sent to harm them as a child. And now as an adult, we are trying to live. Truth Nation. We are in a space of living, but we're still carrying mechanisms inside of us as if we are surviving. And when you are in survival mode, it's by any means necessary. And people who ain't surviving don't understand it, or people who never had to survive can't relate. That is where the problem lies. Sometimes we've been in survival mode so long that peace feels irresponsible. Right? You finally have a quiet evening and your brain starts looking for a problem. What did I forget? Who ain't called me? Y'all know what I'm talking about. You just sitting there. Ain't got nothing to do. Kids gone. Spouse is gone. Everybody's doing something. And you just at home like, okay, well, what should I do? Should I watch some TV? Should I read a book? Nope, I know what I need to do. I seen this, so let me go back and look at that. That's not feeding me enough weight. Let me think about this conversation from early on this week. I need to respond to that because I didn't like the way I responded to that the first time. Like you just trying to find anything. Sometimes your nervous system has been conditioned to expect disruption. That's when we have to teach ourselves safety again. I'm home. I'm okay. I handled everything I needed to handle today. Tomorrow isn't here yet, right? And obviously, this does not mean to ignore serious problems. If you are facing certain things, then you need to address it, right? But for ordinary conflict and stress, stop giving 24-hour access to the BS. You have to learn how to train your mind to think the way that you want it to think. Our minds and our tongues are powerful. I'm telling you, what you think, especially if you are a person who can literally manifest whatever it is that you want, your way of thinking and your way and how you speak and the things that you say. That's why I don't like being put in certain situations, because I know what I manifest happens. What I pray for, it happens. So I have to remain at a calm state at all times, right? And I know a lot of people like that. Train your mind to think the thoughts. You have control. You are in power. This is for my people who have racing thoughts 24/7 because you're constantly trying to figure stuff out. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. I've been making money on my own since 12, taking care of myself financially. I always had to figure stuff out. So my mind, I have to unlearn and relearn. I have to train my mind not to be in survivor mode. We're going to finish this conversation when we come back. Do not touch that dial. I want to hear from you, 833-212-1017. What's some advice you have when it comes to dealing with mental health? It's your girl, Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
Dr.
1017 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. Happy Monday, Milwaukee. It is Mental Health Monday. Listen, a lot of us are back to school, back to work. We've also been dealing with death, all types of things. And yes, we have a good time on Tapped In always, but we always have to do the mental health check-in as well. Shout out to all of the listeners. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 1017 The Truth. Follow me on social media, The Jazzy Effect. That's TheJazzyEffect. Shout out to the chat. Jasmine West said, "Hey y'all, it was great meeting you. I was talking about you earlier, Jazz. I met my cousin Jazz, y'all. She ain't my real cousin, but she my cousin. We was in that thing like Tupac on Poetic Justice. Cousin, what's up, cousin?" No, but shout out to Jasmine West and all of the listeners who stopped by through Truth Family Fest. It was an amazing time. So amazing to put a face with a name. We have to do, more community events so we can be around y'all a little bit more. Shout out to Anita Nicole. She said, "Let's go, Brother Love." Brother Love called in with some amazing affirmations today. Before we went to break, we were talking about leaving work at work, right? And I'm going to say something that might be funny, but it's so real. Stop bringing people home who aren't contributing to your bills, man. Why is Miss Shirley from work sitting at your dinner table? Your coworker don't need to be in your car with you or in the shower. They definitely don't need to be lying in bed between you and your partner because you are still thinking about what happened at work, people. That's still cheating. You're still thinking about what happened at work, right? So, everybody else is the problem. That's not mental health. When you constantly think that, that's actually immature. That's an episode of Everybody is Jealous of Me radio. No, we have to look in the mirror, self-accountability, because there's a difference between a boundary and an emotional reaction. What am I talking about? Boundaries versus reactions, right? Y'all know me. Once again, I be in the paint all day like I'm 8 feet tall. Blocked. It got so bad. Right. It got so bad to the point where I done blocked and deleted everybody out of my life at one point. Because I was just like, I don't want to deal with this. I ain't got time for this. My life too peaceful. Block. Not talking to you. I quit. Whatever. The contract over. I don't care. Everybody go. Maybe even you. That's what Cat Williams said. Everybody got to go. Maybe even you. Right? So, I want to play a little, I'm going to say role play.
Damn.
I have some examples, people. I'm going to give an example, and then I'm going to respond with the boundary that you should set. This is for me too. I'm laughing because everybody that knows me know how I am and how I be and how I get down. And I'm a work in progress, but I've gotten a lot better. I don't just block people just because I'm, anymore. I've committed to not.
Very mindful.
Thank you, Brother Z and Michi. I promise you. So instead of giving a reaction that says, "Don't ever in your life call me again," the boundary will be, "Hey, I don't answer non-emergency calls after 9 p.m. Right? Instead of saying, "I'm done with everybody." This is my favorite one. "I'm done with everybody. Don't nobody call my phone. I don't care who you is. I don't feel like talking. Leave me alone." Instead of saying that, just say, hey, I need some space this week. I got a lot going on. I need a moment to breathe a little bit, and I don't feel like explaining that. I just need space, right? Instead of saying, everybody at my job is fake. What you can say is, I no longer discuss certain parts of my personal life at work, right? I'm cutting her off because she didn't show up for me the way that I expected. Actually, I need to reconsider what level of emotional access that makes sense in this friendship. How much of me am I willing to give to you? See the difference? Boundaries don't always require fireworks, right? 0 to 10. No. Healthy boundaries can be boring, but that's okay. Sometimes there is no dramatic speech. Sometimes you just move differently. You share less. You respond later. Start taking mental notes. When I was talking earlier about being slow to speak, I had to go back to the thought of remembering the last time I said, God, I've changed, or told somebody I've changed. Because every time I do that, I promise you, he sent another test to really see. And I'll be like, you just, for real?
Jesus gonna do it. Jesus gonna do it.
I'm trying to tell you. Thank you, Al. I'm sitting here like, hold on, let me think about this. Every time I say, oh, I've changed, baby, I've come a long way. Here come God. Oh, she didn't change? Go ahead and send her some riffraff.
If God don't do it, it won't get done.
Go ahead and send her something. Let's see if she really changed. Right? You just have to take mental notes of things. Not for that person, but for yourself. How did Jazz react in this moment? How did Brother Z or Meech react in that moment? What can we learn from that moment? Right? Where I'm conflicted is if I get silent, that's worse than when I talk. That's my problem. You should be afraid if I don't say nothing. You should be very afraid if I don't say. You ever seen those movies or those memes that be like, you say something crazy to somebody and they just be like, all right, cool. Like, all right, cool, right? When I get to that point, I have to train myself to say, hey, Jazz, yeah, it is okay. When you say that, actually mean it's okay, right? Because if yeah, all right, cool. Oh, baby, it's a problem. It is a problem. So I say that because it's not the fact that you have to stay silent. It's just how you choose to respond. Shout out to Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., man. He is my biggest reason for not being reactionary. I promise you. This has been for the past 10 years. You can ask him yourself. Say, Jazz, you reactionary, man. Back in the day, yeah, I was. I was very reactionary. And sometimes I can be, but I've learned the difference, right? If I ever feel like I'm backed into a corner and I know I didn't do no wrong, you're going to hear it because ain't nobody else going to stand up for you but you. That's in any situation, right? Especially relationships, because people like to flip stuff on you and make it seem like it's you. No, it's not. It's you. Don't ever have a problem with speaking up for yourself. It's just how you do it, right? And here's another one. A boundary controls your behavior, not someone else. Right? So saying you are not allowed to talk to me like that, that's a request or a standard. The boundary is, listen, if you begin to yell at me, I will end this conversation and I'm going to walk away. All right? I'm deciding what I do. Because I don't control whether or not you yell. I don't control how you react, but I do control how I choose to participate. And if I don't want to participate in the foolishness, baby, I'm going to exit stage left. You better believe it. This is where we have to check ourselves. Sometimes we are calling something a boundary when actually it's a punishment. I want them to feel how much they hurt me. Revenge. Quiet revenge, but revenge, right? Mental health requires the truth. What am I trying to accomplish? What am I protecting myself from? Am I teaching them a lesson? Am I hoping they panic and chase me? Am I trying to regain control? Am I genuinely creating a healthier structure, right? You need to know fact, feeling, story. When something happens, separate those 3 categories. Fact, my supervisor corrected me in front of the team, the entire team. Feeling, I felt embarrassed and angry. Story, she's jealous and wanted to humiliate me. That story could be true. But notice, fact and story are not identical. My friend didn't invite me. That's a fact. The feeling is, I felt rejected. The story is, she's always secretly competing with me, and that proves it. Maybe or maybe not. The person I'm dating hasn't responded to me since this morning. That's a fact. The feeling is, I feel anxious and uncertain. And the story is, he's losing interest. He met somebody else. He never cared. Baby, by the time we've been done, wrote a whole lifetime movie script in our head. You understand? This is why I'm explaining and separating and on facts and why it matters, because our nervous system doesn't always distinguish between what happened and what we're feeling. We can emotionally react to a story we wrote ourselves, right? That doesn't mean ignore the intuition. And we're going to talk about intuition, but intuition doesn't require panic. If something feels off, notice it, gather information, ask questions if appropriate. Watch patterns, but don't prosecute somebody in your head based entirely on one clue or an assumption. And spiritually, this is discernment. Discernment isn't assuming the worst about everybody. Discernment is asking God, help me see clearly. Not God, validate whatever I've already decided. No, let me take a step back. That's why I said I always check me first. Hold on. Am I tripping? Because I know I can trip sometimes. Am I tripping? Right? And if I am tripping, I'm like, yeah, I was tripping. You right. You got it. But if I'm not, you better believe we going to war. Because I'm going to stand on whatever I know. If I'm wrong, I'm going to say it. If I ain't wrong, baby, listen, we can go toe to toe. You understand? We can go toe to toe. Coming back, we are bringing this back into motherhood because some of the things disturbing our peace aren't malicious at all. They are responsibilities. They are people we love, and they are mothers listening right now who are mentally exhausted and then feel guilty for being mentally exhausted.
Did the narrative and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
You couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at mda75.org.
1017 The Truth, it's your girl Jazz Tyler. Looking to discover and support local businesses in our community? Then make sure you tune in every Friday at 8 a.m. to Truth in the Morning with Home of Blow and Bailey Coleman for What the Business Is, powered by We Energies. Each week you'll hear from local business owners as they share what their business is, where they are located, and one valuable lesson they've learned along the way. We Energies is proud to help power local businesses and the communities they serve. Don't miss What the Business Is every Friday at 8 a.m. only on Truth in the Morning with Home of Blow and Bailey Coleman, powered by We Energies, delivering the energy that powers local businesses. Milwaukee, it's Mental Health Mondays. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to those who are listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Before we went to break, we were talking about mental health in the workplace. Now we're going to double back into motherhood, right? Because ladies, you can love them and still need some quiet time. So to all the mothers out there and the fathers, this one is for us. I want to normalize something. You can love your children beyond words and still want everybody in the house to stop asking you questions every 15 minutes, right? Remember I said, me, I find my safe space, and that's the bathroom. I'm going right to the bathroom. Don't bother me, right? Holler my name all you want. I can't do nothing. I'm using the bathroom. Apparently not, but I am in the same breath. Do whatever you need to do to protect your peace from your baby, Sue. Nobody prepares you for how much motherhood or fatherhood is. right? Not doing thinking, remembering, did they eat? When is the appointment? Did I sign a paper? What's happening at school? Did they seem sad? Did they sleep enough? Who is this friend they with? What happened at practice? Dang, they need more shoes? Hold on, you got a cough again? Wait, it got too quiet. They must be up there acting a fool. You are constantly scanning. And if you are a working parent, you are doing this while carrying professional responsibilities. So imagine your brain as a browser, right? You got the work tab. You got the money tab. You got the child 1 tab, child 2 tab, sometimes child 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tab. Relationship tab, groceries tab, bills tab, calendar tab, friend tab, school tab, self-care tab. Think about all of these different browsers, all of these different web pages that's up. What happens? Let's take your phone, for example. Whenever you have too many things up at one time, if you don't swipe it off, it's going to slow down the speed. It's going to slow down your data. Your phone going to start acting funny because you doing too much. It's too many things up at one time. You got to pick and choose which one is going. Even your phone is telling you that, listen, slow your ADHD down. You got too much going on. Get rid of some of this stuff so that I can have the power that I need. That is your body. Your body is the phone, and those tabs is life. If you don't prioritize and deal with them when you need to and close out of it and then bring it back up, your body is going to eventually shut down. So then when you're dealing with your children, somebody walks in and say, Mama, have you seen my black hoodie? And your brain crashes. Then you snap. But not because the hoodie isn't a serious matter, but because, God, that's tab number 37. That's one more thing on my list that I have to think about. This is why regulation matters. One practice I love for parents is verbalizing the boundary before you are completely depleted. So instead of waiting to explode and say, everybody just leave me alone, how about say, hey, I need 10 minutes to myself. I'm okay. I love y'all. I just need to reset. I do this with my children. My oldest daughter is actually in college right now for psychology. And we practice different mechanisms with each other, right? Instead of when I get frustrated and I get to yelling, I say, Kennedy, give me a minute, Ladybug. That's what I call her. Ladybug, give me a minute. Mama, it's been a long day. I work 2 jobs and it's only me. I just need 1 second, right? My children are allowed to have voices in my home. When we were growing up, you can't voice none of that. No, if my Callie, she gonna tell me, Mom, you're overstimulating me. I don't want to talk about this right now. And she's 9. She talks just like that. I don't want to talk about this right now, Mom. You're overstimulating me. My brain cannot take on what you're telling me. I need a break. I'm like, okay, Callie, cool. That's fine. Go take a break in your room. I'll back off. I will back off. And that's emotionally healthy for the both. And children learn something from that. They learn that people have needs. They learn that love doesn't require permanent access. They learn that mom doesn't have to be a stepping stool or my personal assistant in everything in order to be a good mother, right? You give everything. You've rested. You always sacrifice. You put everybody before yourself. And then we are surprised when the parent becomes tired. I'm working. I'm putting my children first, putting my job first, really, because I got to pay these bills. I'm doing all of this stuff. And when you look up, it's like, I don't have no energy for nobody. I just need a break. You are a person. You are a human. Self-sacrifice may be a part of parenting, right? Self-sacrificing may be a part of parenting, but it does not have to define your parenthood. You can also, again, for those who are spiritual, pray. You can also pray. Some people's entire prayer life is an intercession for everybody else's life. May God protect my babies. May God protect my family. May God help my friend. May God heal my mama. May God cover my partner. But what about you? Do you pray for you? God, can you restore me? Can you quiet my mind? Can you help me make wise and better decisions? Show me where I need help. God, help me receive support instead of always being the support. A couple weeks ago, I had to pray for a team. I literally sat there and said, my sister said, you need help. You officially have reached your capacity, ma'am, because I'm always doing so much. I've been that way my whole life. I never been in one thing. I was in poetry, basketball, acting, braiding hair, and rapping at the same time. All my school years. I've always been involved in multiple things. And because I come from community, I'm always helping people. So much to the point where I'm like, I'm tired. I can't do this. I'm about to crash out. Yeah, go get help. God, I need a team. I have a team, but I'm talking about a personal team. I need a personal assistant. I don't know if y'all follow me on social media, baby. It got so bad I had to put it. I need a nanny. I need a personal assistant. I need a lawn care. Somebody do my lawn care. I need somebody to come clean my house once or twice a week. All paid positions. But damn it, I need help. I can't do everything. I can no longer be Superwoman 24/7. Especially with my children. And we thinking like my daughter in college now, my oldest daughter, we thinking it gets easier. No, she have stuff that she still has to deal with as an adult, as a young adult, walking into being a woman. That's added pressure for me. Mainly because everything I do, there is no excuse. I can't come at her how I used to come at her when she was a kid. She's an 18-year-old young lady. That stuff don't work. That's just like on Michael movie when Joe Jackson thought he was about to whoop Mike. Mike said, man, if you don't go on somewhere with that belt, bruh, well, I ain't no kid. I'm walking right up out this studio and you fire. How about that? He sent his daddy the walking papers, man. You cannot come at your children the way that you used to when they are young adults. You have to be an example. You have to show them this is how you communicate with adults. Being mature, right? And here's another parenting practice. Repair instead of perfection. You're going to lose patience sometimes. Let's get rid of the fantasy. You are human. We are human, right? If you snap, it's unfair. Repair it. Baby, I'm sorry. I was overwhelmed, but I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. I apologize to my kids all the time. If they get an inch, a whiff of me, like, because I am funny. I'm funny. Like, I like to rib, we do all of that. But if they get a whiff that I'm overstimulated and they know where I'm at, man, hey, listen, I ain't gonna tell you again. Leave me alone. Then it's like, I don't like your tone. No, man, what? Smacking lips. And now who you smacking your lips at? Hold on, Jazz, you was out of order first. You was out of order. Just because they're your child don't mean that you can't apologize. We have to get used to apologizing. And I know a lot of us come from the generations where parents don't apologize, but be the first. When you are wrong, apologize to your child and watch how quick they apologize to you when they are wrong. Or watch how quickly they're going to second guess doing something that goes against what you told them not to do. You have to start apologizing to your children as well, right? Do you really realize what that teaches? It teaches accountability, humility. One-on-one-7 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. One-on-one-7 The Truth and Empower are teaming up for the Truth Host Media Bootcamp, a 4-session experience designed to sharpen our host voices, interviewing skills, and media presence, building stronger voices and stronger community powered by Empower in One-on-one-7 The Truth. Huge shout out to Brother David Muhammad and Aziz. Man, we had the pleasure of going to the Mary Ryan Boys and Girls Club last week and sitting down and doing some activities with the youth. They were able to do commercials. They were singing, doing podcast segments, all of that type of stuff. So cool, so dope. If you guys could see the hope in their eyes, right? Amazing. So make sure if you have any youth to sign them up. It is free of charge. It will be at the Mary Ryan Boys and Girls Club Tuesdays and Thursdays this week and then next week as well. For 6 weeks, 6 days. 6 p.m. I'm sorry, y'all. We're trying to get the details from me. 6 p.m. 6 p.m. So today we are talking about mental health Mondays. Again, there is so much happening. We always have a great time on Tapped In, but we gotta check in mentally first, right? Have to check in mentally. Before we went to break, I was telling you, as a parent, it's okay to apologize to your child, right? Because it teaches them accountability, humility, emotional language. And then most importantly, it teaches them that making a mistake doesn't mean that the relationship is destroyed. That is something that we have to become accustomed to doing. We've all grown up in a generation where you couldn't question your parents. You didn't have a voice, really. Whatever they said was no apologizing to no child. But we are in different times. We have a chance to break those generational curses, right? Now, obviously, a child needs to stay in their place. However, when you are wrong, if you come in the house and you mad at something at work and you take it out on your child, they know that. They can feel that. You need to go back and apologize to them. And watch how quickly they'll apologize to you when they are in the wrong, right? This actually brings me into the final hour. We've talked about workplace mental health. We've talked about parenthood mental health, right? I want to talk about places where our minds create the most stories, and that's friendships and relationships. Why did her energy change? Why hasn't he called me? Why did they like that post? Why they didn't invite me? I'm a firm believer, if I ain't invited, I ain't going anyways. Hello. What did that message mean? Are they jealous? Are they pulling away? Are they mad? Are they hiding something? And suddenly we are mentally exhausted from having conversations that never happened. Hey, Delulu. Hey, Boo-Boo Delulu. You're delusional. Stop creating false narratives inside of your head that do not exist. I don't care what it is. And ladies, we good for that when it comes to relationships. You make up whatever you want because you need an answer right there in that moment. Stop doing that, right? Stop doing that. Everybody talks about romantic heartbreak, friendship heartbreak, and how it can tear you up and make you, break you down, especially for adult friends. This is somebody that knows your history. They know how you survive. They know your family. They know who hurt you. They know your darkest secrets. They know your insecurities. They've seen you broke. They've seen you up. They've seen you winning. All of the above. They've seen you looking crazy and ugly at the same time, right? That is still a form of intimacy. So when something changes in that friendship, it can hurt a little bit different versus someone that you don't have that type of rapport or relationship with. And sometimes nothing dramatic happened. You just started noticing different things, right? You tell them something good and the energy changes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You call with bad news, but they all in your business. Oh, for real? What time? Where? When? Who? How? Let it be something good. Then it's like, okay. Oh, that's dope. I like that little business you just started up. Baby, ain't nothing little over here but my height. And I'm really 6'4". Hello. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They got to add the little on there to try to make you feel away. And you can't put your finger on it. You don't understand why. You were a little too excited to help me through the bad news. Where were you when I got that promotion? You started noticing. Or maybe every conversation ends up being about them. They call 2 hours about their life at the end. Girl, how you doing? You say, actually, I got to call you back. And then you realize you're not a friend. You're a customer service representative who is supporting someone through their mental health issues, right? I had to check myself as a friend with that as well, because I can be very subjective when I'm going through something, and my friends and my sister know. Right? So I have to check. I can go, let me tell you what happened. But it's not to gossip and it's not to tell. It's really to have them help me work through it, because those who are close to me know that if I can't say what I feel, it might be a bad day for everybody. That's what I learned in therapy years ago. It's okay to express how you feel. You just got to watch how you express it. And when I started doing that, I started to realize that, dang, I'm overpowering the relationship. I'm overpowering the conversation. I didn't even allow my friend to tell me or my sister how they were doing because I was so stuck on what I got going on. And we mean no harm, Because you all have that one or two people in your life that you can call and talk to about whatever, and they're going to be receptive and non-judgmental. But it does not give you permission to dismiss what they are going through. It does not give you permission to control the entire friendship or conversation. Don't be the customer service representative friend that only call when it's about you, and then you got to go when they get to talking about them. Right? Or maybe even the friendship isn't toxic. It's just that you've changed and y'all have grown apart. That's the thing too. There are people that I don't hang with because my conversations are different these days. I don't have the same conversation that I did when we once were tight because I'm not the same person. And sometimes that is okay. It does not mean that the love is lost. It just means that, hey, I've grown, right? And I'm sure you have too. And we can mutually respect that. But that does not require the same access that it once did. Here's the mistake. We think every changed relationship requires a villain, and it does not. Sometimes nobody is the bad guy. Sometimes the seasons just change. Sometimes the capacity has changed, and sometimes the values has changed. Sometimes the proximity has changed as well. I most definitely believe in that. Sometimes the friendship needs a different shape. This is why I always say everybody doesn't have to be cut off. Some people just need to be repositioned. Let me tell you, I learned this, right? Let me tell y'all what I learned. I learned how to not cut people off and just reposition them. It's like playing chess. I was on the chess team at Samuel Morris Middle School in 6th grade. And that's when I started playing chess. That's when I learned chess and began to play it afterwards. And the interesting thing about chess is that at any given time, the positions can change. It's all about strategy, right? Everybody don't have to be cut off. Sometimes you just have to change the position. Sometimes you got to reposition that person. Maybe they had front row tickets to your series because our life is a series. Now they ass got balcony seats. Sometimes you gotta put them on a third level in the nosebleeds, and that's okay. That don't mean you dislike them. It just means that yesterday's price is not today's price, and we're not just talking financially, right? We're talking access. You don't get backstage access to me no more, and that's okay because access should correspond to trust, and that's healthy. So try this friendship audit. Don't judge a friend off one bad day. So don't do it based off of that. But look for patterns. Ask, how do I feel before I interact with this person? Listen to me. I'm telling you, because we all have people in our lives or have had people in our lives at a certain period of time that we knew we can feel and discern that they wasn't right for us, but we also can feel the love there as well. And now we're conflicted. We don't know which one to go. It's a love-hate relationship. They call it frenemies. How do you feel? Do you get excited? Are you anxious? Are you guarded? Are you drained? Then, how do I feel while I'm with them? Can I be by myself? Am I editing everything? Do I feel like I'm performing? Do I feel safe telling the truth? Then how do you begin to ask yourself, how do I consistently feel afterwards? Am I energized? Am I loved? Am I seen or confused? Am I drained, insecure, or agitated? Pay attention to the actions of how you feel when you are in the company of someone who is considered to be your friend. Your discernment ain't never going to steer you wrong, and it won't lie to you. Oftentimes, we see the red flags in friendships and relationships, and we still go and ride the roller coaster because that's what we're used to. We talked about this as well, entertaining chaos and confusion. Notice I said consistently, though. One difficult conversation doesn't define a friendship. Healthy friendships have conflict. Sometimes your friend should challenge you. If everybody around you agrees with everything you do, baby, you don't have no friends. You have an audience. My real friends is going to say, Jazz, I love you, but you dog wrong. You know you wrong, right? So don't confuse accountability with jealousy. Because if your friend can't disagree with you without being accused of secretly competing, that's not healthy for neither one of y'all. We need people who can tell us the truth. Shout out to Biko Baker. I've known Biko for many years. And one thing I know about Biko, he going to tell you the truth whether you want to hear it or not. One thing I know about Ray Nitty, he going to tell you the truth whether you want to hear it or not. One thing I know about Demetrius Harper, a.k.a. Meech, is that he's going to tell you the truth whether you want to know it or not. And some of y'all got too many yes men around y'all, and that's why y'all out here acting a fool when you run into genuine people, because you don't know you don't know how to properly be a friend. You don't know how to be a friend, and that's the reality. Let's finish this conversation when we come back. It's your girl Jazz Tyler.
UW Credit Union, we have best-in-class technology and peopleology. Like if you lose your card, you can stop by in-branch for a same-day replacement. Or you can have a new one in
1017 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct. Today is Mental Health Monday. We are talking about mental health in the workplace, motherhood, fatherhood, relationships, friendships, all of the above. And I know I'm about to step on some toes a little bit with this one, mine's included. But let's say the person you are talking to sends okay. That message, A-K-O-K-A-Y. And your brain says, interesting, right? Normally he says, okay, babe. Today he just saying, okay, period, no emoji. Oh, so now you are looking at previous text message, right? Last Tuesday he said, okay, with the triple Y, right? Today he just giving me a okay. Now you are comparing historical okay patterns. Do you hear how crazy that sounds? We have become forensic analysis over relationships. And social media makes it worse. They didn't answer, but they posted. I'm good for that. I promise you I am. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, if I'm talking to somebody and you don't answer the phone, but I see you post on social media, you better believe I'm going to hold you accountable. Because if you got time to post on social media, you have time to respond to me, right? Now you sitting there like they didn't answer, but they like my post. They didn't answer, but the green dot is on. It says that they're active. Now your nervous system is reacting to digital breadcrumbs. And sometimes there is useful information in patterns. Absolutely. If somebody continuously ignores you while remaining active everywhere else, that should tell you something. But here's the key. Information does not require obsession. You can notice, you can ask, you can make a decision. What were you trying to stop at the 12 o'clock hour of your internal investigation? Here's some exercises, right? Create 3 columns. Column 1, what I know. List only facts. They haven't been responding since noon. That's a fact, right? What I'm assuming. This is column 2. They are mad. They lost interest. They are with somebody else. They are purposely ignoring me. These are all assumptions. Possibility, absolutely. Proven, not at all. Column 3. What can you actually do about it? I can wait. I can ask later. I can observe the pattern. I can decide what communication standard I need. I can move on if the behavior consistently doesn't meet my needs. You see how those 3 columns brought the power back to you? Because overthinking is how you lose your power. And here's where I want to differentiate intuition from anxiety. Intuition often feels like something is different. Pay attention. Anxiety says something is different. Figure it out now or you are in danger. That is the difference. Intuition can tolerate observation. Anxiety depends on demanding immediate certainty. All of us are walking around here anxious because we all want a microwave answer, right? And relationships do not always offer immediate certainty. That's hard. Some of us hate uncertainty more than we hate bad news. We will rather hear, I don't want you, than to sit in, I don't know where this is going. I'm going to be honest with you. I am one of those people. Tell me, You can tell me you don't want, I want to hear that. I don't want to be left with the uncertainty, right? And an imagination can be brutal because it leaves uncertainty, right? Uncertainty leaves room for imagination. So sometimes mental health and relationships means building tolerance for uncertainty. Meaning, I don't know yet, and I'm still okay. I don't have the answers today, and I'm still okay. I haven't received closure, but guess what? I'm still okay. That doesn't mean that I tolerate the behavior, right? Yes, do I want clarity about this? Absolutely, because healthy communication matters. But while I'm waiting for that information, I don't have to emotionally destroy myself trying to predict whatever it is. Faith and certainty are not the same thing. And the reason why I say that is because, again, at the beginning of the show, I mentioned bringing the spiritual side for those who are spiritual, not religious, but whatever it is that you believe in, right? You have to, during the mental health reevaluation, you have to. Faith and certainty are not the same thing. If I knew every outcome, faith wouldn't exist. Sometimes faith sounds like I don't know what this relationship will become, but I trust myself enough to handle the truth whenever it arrives. That's powerful. Not I know they were meant for me. No, I don't. I trust myself to handle the truth. Maybe the truth is beautiful. Maybe it disappoints me. Either way, I have it. And there's another relationship trap. Trying to earn clarity by being more lovable. Don't be a pick-me chick. And don't be a pick-me guy. Let me do more. Let me be more understanding. Let me give more space. Let me text less. Let me text more. Let me become whatever this person wants me to be. No. Clarity belongs in communication, not performance, okay? You shouldn't have to audition for basic consistency. And if somebody's behavior has showed you that is activating anxiety inside of you, that is your answer right there. Maybe you have internal attachment wounds that you need to work on. Hello, did you hear what I just said? Sometimes the anxiety that you get is a lesson. It's happening because there's something inside of you that you have not healed yet, which is the lesson in it all. It don't mean nothing more than what you think it means. Don't mean nothing pertaining to this guy or this woman. It has everything to do with you. Mental health does not require blaming yourself or blaming them for everything. It requires seeing the whole picture, not in a subjective manner. What's mine? What's theirs? What can be communicated? What patterns exist? What decision protects me? That's maturity. Because the goal is not to become so healed that nothing affects you. The goal is to be healed enough that when something affects you, you know exactly what to do. I was talking to myself right there. The goal is not to become so healed that nothing affects you. The goal is to be healed enough that when something affects you, you know exactly what to do. That is so imperative. Not just in relationships, but just in life overall. Because what's been easy for me, and I'm speaking for myself, what's been easy for me, mind you, I am a person who was surviving my whole life. Now I'm entering the stage of living, right? So a person who's in survivor mode, our mind frames operate a little bit differently than someone who's never had to worry about anything in their life. So when things are sent to me, or if I feel a way, I detach. It's scary, for real. I detach. So quick in a hurry. You wouldn't even think that I felt what I felt. So much to the point where it starts making me question myself. Did I even really feel that? Because how am I able to just detach so easily? It's a defense mechanism. It's because whatever I thought I healed and I really didn't heal has came back up, and now I have to deal with it, but I don't feel like dealing with it right now. So I'm going to be hard body and stand 10 toes and tell it the situation to go on about its business. That's not healthy. The goal is to be healed enough that when something affects you, you know exactly what to do. That's identifying. How am I feeling? All of these examples that I've been given, right? These are examples of what to do in that moment. Hey, let me stop myself in my tracks and understand what I'm feeling in this moment. So for self-accountability purposes, but also so that if there is a deep-rooted issue in me that still arises, I can go back and fix that. I can go back and work on that, not tuck it away and not deal with it. That's not healthy. So sometimes when things happen, especially in relationships are the perfect situation to remind you of things that you have or have not healed from. I promise you. Because as soon as you be like, man, and this is me, this is real talk. I spent 4 years single, right? Been single the past 4 years by choice. And it's really because I needed to sit with myself. I was engaged and I was married. I'm not a person that has to be with somebody. I don't have to. I'm okay with being by myself. Not forever, but I mean it enough to where I can understand me. So I took 4 years to say, hey, figure out Jazz at this age, right? What triggers you, what don't. Work on it so that when God sends the husband for you, you don't have to take out on him what somebody else did. Check yourself. And people be thinking it take 3-6 months. Man, no, it take years. I've been on this earth for 38 years. My trauma started at the age of 9. Really the age of 5. That means that I have 30 plus years of emotions and triggers to deal with. And somebody expect for me to deal or expect for you to deal with that in 2 to 3 months. That's not how that works. Sometimes you don't even know that something triggers you.
A vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
1017 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct at the award-winning 1017 The Truth, located at the beautiful heart of downtown Milwaukee. Hey, listen, Truth Nation, we've had an amazing conversation today about mental health. So I need you to do me a favor. Get your phone, get your notes app, get some paper, get your laptop, whatever it is. Remember this, pause. And we're not talking about the pause that you guys are used to, right? Because the most dangerous moment often isn't the situation, it's the 60 seconds after that situation. That is where we make critical decisions. That email hits, that tone hits, that text hit, that comment hit, and your body reacts before wisdom arrives. Your heart speeds up, you begin to get anxiety, you start feeling hot and tense, and now emotion says, do something. But I need you to do something. I need you to pause. Pause. Don't answer immediately unless the situation genuinely requires immediate action. Just stop. Pause don't mean never address it. Pause means I am not giving my first emotional impulse control of this situation. Instead, say, hey, I need a moment. I want to think about what was said so I can retain it and then follow up. At work sometimes, let me review that and get back to you. That's a complete sentence. You do not have to respond to everything in real time. You can say, hey, let me take a moment to review this and I'll get back to you. A, assess, ask, what actually happened? Not what did this remind me of? Not what happened to me 5 years ago? Not what happened right now? Sometimes our reaction is 10% today's event and 90% old pain. Someone doesn't respond and suddenly you are experiencing every abandonment you've ever felt in your entire life. Someone corrects you and suddenly you are reliving every time that you felt underestimated. You have to understand what you control. This might be the biggest one. Can you control whether they apologize? Absolutely not. Can you control whether they like you? Absolutely not. Can you control whether your ex finally understands? Now you know the answer to that. Absolutely hell to the no, to the no, no, no. But what you can control is your response. You can control your boundaries. You can control how you choose to document things going forward. You can ask questions to better clarify whatever is happening, right? You have a choice. S, set the appropriate response or boundary. Not every problem requires the same tool. Some things require silence. Some require conversation, some require distance, and some require documentation. Some requires forgiveness, and some requires professional intervention. Some requires therapy, and some requires a lawyer, depending on what your situation is, right? Some require you simply accepting that this person is not going to give me what I keep expecting from them. Pick and choose. Pick and choose how you respond. Wisdom is matching the response to the problem. You don't use a hammer for every repair. And we have to stop using cut them off as the hammer for every reactional situation. That's what I do. Ken Rue in the chat said, Jazz, when you are in a relationship, is it hard for you to open up your feelings? Honestly, I am a person who wears my emotion, my heart on my sleeve. I am purposely vulnerable because that is the path that God has laid for me. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that I choose to use my testimony as my trials and tribulations as testimony. When I'm in a relationship, to your point, Kiru, I don't mind being vulnerable, right? My goal and my purpose on this earth is to make sure that those who are listening or following or are around me can be inspired by the things that I went through, so that they don't go through it, but also so that they can find whatever their situation is inside of them. And what happens is in relationships, you become naturally vulnerable because you want your mate to understand you to your entirety. Here's where we go wrong. And I'm going to hold the ladies accountable for this. We go wrong when we start throwing stuff up in that man's face that he didn't told you and while he was being vulnerable. That's what make that's what make men not want to express themselves. Women, where we go wrong is we on a first date and we being completely vulnerable, telling him about everything we've been through with other men. And now guess what? He's going to play off of that vulnerability and use it against you and finesse you. So it's not a matter of, is it easy? Like if you're in a relationship with somebody and you have to question whether or not you can open up to them, you shouldn't be in a relationship with them. You should absolutely not be in a relationship with them whatsoever. Because that means that you are not allowed to be vulnerable. That means that you don't trust them with your feelings, with your mind, with anything, right? Again, going back to the pause method, wisdom is matching the response to the problem. You don't use a hammer for every repair. And we have to stop using the cutoff as a hammer for every problem. That's me. That's me talking to myself. Because I'm going to block somebody quick, whether it's physically or not physically. Either way, whatever I need to do to protect my peace, I am. And that's not always the right answer. E, exit the mental replay. This is where many of us lose the battle. You paused, you assessed, you made the decision, then 3 hours later, you're still replaying it in your head. No, after you've made that decision on what you're going to do, you have to practice exiting the mental courtroom. Stop retrying the case. You've already ruled. Court is adjourned. Everybody go home. Your brain is, Your Honor, one more piece of evidence. No, it's over. And here's something you can actually say. There is nothing new to solve right now. That sentence is powerful for overthinking. There is nothing new to solve right now, because if new information comes tomorrow, we'll deal with it tomorrow. We will deal with it tomorrow, period. I want to practice something with y'all, right? If you are somewhere safe, I want you to relax your shoulders, take a deep breath, and silently identify whatever has been disturbing your peace. Don't analyze it, just identify it. And once you identify it, ask yourself, what part of this is fact? Pause. What part am I assuming? Take a step back, pause. What part is actually within my control? Pause. Now say, I give myself permission not to solve everything today. I can only do what I can do today. The problems of yesterday, let me tell you something. Yesterday don't exist and tomorrow don't exist, which means that memories are not real. They are, but they aren't, because it's like it never happened. When you stuck on what has happened and you look up and you see that, guess what? Right now it's 6:38. 6:37 p.m. on August 25th, 2026 will never exist again. So why in the world will I be holding on to something that no longer exists? And then you worried about tomorrow, not even knowing if you're going to make it past today. Why in the world would I be worried about? Nope, not today. Nope, tell your brain, nope, ain't no overthinking. I can only control what I can control right now. I can only take care of what I can take care of right now. That's the mental capacity I have. If you suffer from depression or anxiety, you ain't got up and cleaned your house one room at a time. All I got today is this room. That's all I can give. I don't have nothing else, but I can give this today. Apply that to every part of your life. Yesterday does not exist and tomorrow is not here yet. Neither exists, but this moment right now does. We got to learn how to take a step back. Take a step back. Stay in that moment to identify what you are feeling, because sometimes your feelings are not justifiable. Sometimes your feelings don't even matter, because what you feeling don't got nothing to do with what's going on at that moment. It has everything to do with what I said earlier. This man talked to me a certain way, and it triggered me to make me think about somebody that used to beat on me back in the day. I'm not talking about me. I'm giving an example.
What?
Oh, she cursed me out. She went behind my back and said this. Now it's triggering you to start thinking about, when my best friend from the fifth grade did this, something lawyer, and now I don't trust nobody. Now you're harboring onto things that don't exist and taking it out on other people. You got to let it go. You cannot expect people to tiptoe around your triggers. You cannot expect people. If I feel like what I say or do is going to trigger you, I'm not coming around you, because I'm not tiptoeing around your triggers. Period. I'm not going to do it. So you have to sit with that action, that confrontation, that time, observation, and surrender. Different situations require different responses. And that's the maturity piece, right? That's the maturity of peace. Peace isn't doing nothing. Peace is not allowing panic to choose you. Listen, again, I'm not talking at y'all. I'm talking with y'all. I'm talking with myself as well. And I said it at the top of the show for those who are just now joining us. Some people have spirits inside of them. It could be your kids. It could be your mama, your daddy, your husband, your coworker, your student, whoever. Some people have spirits inside of them that they don't even know are there. And they don't have peace. So when they see you and they see the anointing and they see how peaceful you are and that your heart is pure, what's inside of them, it becomes agitated. And then they start antagonizing you because they are miserable on the inside. And it's not for you to compete on who's the most miserable. It's for you to say, hey, let me step back, pause, take a moment, analyze myself in this situation, and then analyze the entire picture, because my peace matters the most. Coming back, this is our final big conversation, and I want to challenge the phrase, this was sent to destroy my peace. Because maybe,
remember, Smokey Bear says,
avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
One-on-one Step in the Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct. Listen, I want to close the main conversation with spirituality, because when difficult things happen, especially if you are a spiritually grounded person, sometimes our first response is, this was sent to destroy me. The enemy is busy. This is an attack, right? And I believe in spiritual warfare. I most definitely do, because I always say, you a fool to come up against this. I promise you, my anointing so cold, baby, let me tell you. That's why I have to work on my mouth. Because a lot of times I don't have to say nothing.
What do you mean by that?
I don't have to say anything. You know what, Meech? You know what, Meech? Meech over here cracking jokes. The reality is, some people are just simply annoying. That's it. The devil didn't send nobody. They just have poor communication skills, right? Sometimes personalities clash. Sometimes people are insecure. Sometimes people are dealing with their own pain. Sometimes organizations are unhealthy. Sometimes relationships don't work. Sometimes friends disappoint us. And sometimes we are the difficult person in everybody else's story. That's humbling. It just simply means we all are human, right? This is why I'm able to give grace, even in the most heated moments. Even in the most heated moments, I am so grateful for the family that I have, for the neighbors who became family in my community, because those people taught me how to love my people. They taught me how to love my people so much that even when we don't agree, or even if, hey, I still got love for you, because I understand what we have been through as people in general, right? And when you realize that, you begin to put your feelings to the side and realize that none of it matters. As long as I'm alive, breathing, and I can take care of my family, how somebody else feel don't matter. How they think don't matter. If the relationship work, it do. If it don't matter, right? It does not matter. And spiritually, we should, when you are a person who are walking a certain path, you have to hold yourself accountable and you have to have more self-awareness, because you're held to a higher regard. So the things that I once have done before, I can no longer do, because I'm held to a higher regard based off of my relationship with the Creator, right? When you know certain things, you can't unknow them. It's impossible. So I don't want faith to become a way of avoiding responsibilities, right? What I mean by that, I prayed about it. Okay, did you apologize? Match the action with the prayer, boo-boo. I gave it to God. Okay, did you document it? I know God will handle it. Okay, do you need to have a conversation about it too? Faith and action can coexist. Prayer and therapy can coexist. Prayer and boundaries can coexist. Prayer and HR can coexist. Prayer and slapping somebody, I'm just playing. I'm laughing. I'm thinking about that meme that say I could slap you and then pray for you at the same time. No, but in all seriousness, people act like once you pray, you can't do nothing else. I'm just gonna pray about it, and I'm just gonna give it to God, because that's all I can do. It's out of my hands. No, prayer gives you wisdom, but it also, you should receive some type of download or confirmation to take some action. And here's something I'm learning about peace. Sometimes we keep praying, God, remove this person. Maybe the prayer needs to become, God, remove the person or people who have control over my emotions. I don't even ask God to remove people no more because people eventually expose themselves and they eventually remove themselves. But again, if y'all like that fake lifestyle, you better be careful. When you ask God to remove you, look up and ain't nobody around. You're going to start questioning everybody, including yourself, right? At the end of the day, you have to match action with faith. Maybe that situation is still going to arise at work tomorrow. Maybe they don't get the same reaction. Maybe your child has a difficult season, but you are learning patience. Maybe the relationship still has unanswered questions, but you are not abandoning yourself for answers. Maybe the friendship never repairs, but you can think about it without anger, right? That's growth. Not every victory looks like the problem is going to disappear. Sometimes victory looks like the problem remained and I became different, right? And I don't mean hardened. I don't mean that my heart is, that's actually a curse. For those who do read the Bible and they talk about hardening the Pharaoh's heart, that's a curse. If you can't feel love, you don't know the Creator. So it's never about being hard body or putting on this shell where it's like, I don't want to feel nothing. No, I'm grateful that I have feelings. There's some cold hearted people out here. I'm grateful that I can feel. That's important. Some people confuse healing with being cold. I don't care about nobody. That's not necessarily peace. Sometimes that's just armor. Real peace says, I can love you and have a boundary. I can forgive you and not trust you yet. I can miss you and know distance is healthier. I can respect my supervisor's position and still recognize inappropriate behavior. I can love my children and still need rest. I can love my children and still beat their ass too. Some of them need some whoopings out here. All right. Some of them do. I can be disappointed and remain hopeful. Those are emotionally mature combinations. Life isn't either or. And I want to give you another spiritual practice. When something is overwhelming you, ask, what is this season trying to reach me? What is this? What season am I in? Am I in a season of season, reason, lifetime? Which one of those seasons are you in? That's something you have to be mindful. Everybody ain't meant to go. Every job ain't meant to go. Every person ain't meant to go. Every relationship is not meant to go. What season are you in? What season are you in? Are you in a season of people are around for just a season? Or are they around for a reason? Or are they around for a lifetime? Don't confuse the two. Don't confuse the two. When something is overwhelming you, again, ask, what is this season trying to teach me? Not in a way that blames you. Not everything bad happened because you needed a lesson. Bad things happen. People make choices. Systems can be unfair. Life can hurt. But since I'm here, what can I learn? Maybe I'm learning boundaries. Maybe I'm learning I don't need everybody's approval. Maybe I'm learning documentation. Maybe I'm learning patience. Maybe I'm learning how often I abandon myself trying to keep relationships. Maybe I'm learning that I confuse anxiety with intuition. Maybe I'm learning to ask questions instead of creating answers. That's delusional. Maybe I'm learning that being misunderstood doesn't destroy me. Maybe I'm learning that somebody else's position does not make them more valuable than me. Maybe I'm learning that strength without rest becomes exhaustion. Maybe I'm learning to receive help. Amen to that. Maybe I'm learning to stop over-explaining. Absolutely am. Maybe I'm learning to stop needing closure from the person who created the confusion. Maybe my closure is I don't want to feel like this anymore, and that's enough information. So here's the hard question I want to leave you with, Truth Nation. If the person disturbing your peace never changes, what are you going to change? And I need you to sit with that because we spend so much time when she stops, when he finally understands, when my child gets older, when my friend apologizes, when management recognizes. So what changes? What if they don't? Do they get permanent control over your peace? What changes? Your access, your expectations, your communications. What's going to change? What is going to change? You have to ask yourself that, right? So tonight, go home. Say God. Don't say God make them act right.